Today I am making pickled jalapenos. It's a sweet pickle, also known as Cowboy Candy. These are the ingredients. 4 pounds of jalapenos, about 4 cups of apple cider vinegar, 5 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of mustard seed, 1 teaspoon of turmeric for color, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of cayenne powder for smoke flavoring. Then we dump the ingredients of the apple cider vinegar, mustard seed, garlic powder, turmeric, and cayenne powder. And then we let that go until it simmers for 5 minutes. Let the spices simmer for 5 minutes. I highly suggest doing this in a well-vented room because the vinegar can really be intense to smell. 5 minutes of simmering, then you add the sugar. Let the sugar, vinegar, and spice mixture simmer for 5 minutes. Then you add your jalapenos. Now, one of the recipes I read calls for it to be cooked for 10 minutes. But the longer you cook the jalapenos, the less heat it has. I tend to like more heat, so I usually only cook mine for 5 minutes or less, and sometimes I don't cook mine at all and just dump them straight into the jar. So it really just depends on how much heat you want. The more you cook it, the less heat will be in the jalapenos. Now, one of the things I talk about a lot in canning is sanitation and a water bath. I sanitize my jars in the dishwasher. I do not have any canning instrument, so I just use a large pot of boiling water as my bath. Now, we have pickled jalapenos in a variety of sizes, so these are all the sanitized jars. Not all of them will be used, however. So now we take the jalapenos and you put them in each jar. You want to fill them up until there's about 1 inch from the top, so that way air can escape. And you can get a nice tight seal with the liquid after you pour the jalapenos in. It's also important that you put some kind of tray or towel underneath your jars, so that way it prevents less of a mess. You want to make sure you push the jalapenos down so they're packed nice and tight. And that way you don't get too much liquid and you get plenty of jalapenos. And once your jars are really full and compact, then you're going to ladle in the broth over top. You're going to make sure you fill it all the way up to release any air bubbles out of the jars. So that way you get a nice tight seal and no bacteria can get in. After you've completely filled your jalapenos with the liquid solution, you're going to wipe the tops of them to keep bacteria from getting in and to keep the lids from sticking too much because of the sugar. It's also important to tap your jars to let all the air bubbles out. After the tops are wiped, then you want to put the lids on as tight as you possibly can and get them ready for their water bath. After the lids are screwed on tight, you want to use this device to pick up your jars and drop them into the water bath. They will stay in the bath for about 15 minutes so they can cure and make a tight seal, allowing all the air bubbles to escape. Once your 15 minutes is up, then you can start pulling the jars out of the bath. Please be careful, they're extremely hot. Then you let them set until the top of the jar has sucked in. You'll hear a popping sound. And then it's ready to go. Jalapenos do not need to stay in the jar for long. You can eat them right away, or you can let them sit and soak in some more of the broth. I tend to let mine sit for 2 weeks to a month, and then enjoy.